This is the true face of evil, the most diabolical baby in the galaxy. Most people see him and think he's a lovable, cute little infant, but he's not. He is a 50-year-old grown-ass man, and he is completely evil, and I have proof. And before you tell me, oh no, he's just a baby, his species just grows slowly. No. The real Yoda became a Jedi Master when he was 100. That means that at 100 years old, Yoda had already been a Jedi for years, decades maybe. And he was promoted and trusted with training new Jedi. Grogu is like, what, 52 now? He should be at least halfway to being a competent member of society. Unless it's all a part of his evil plan. You see, my theory, as you can probably tell by the title, is that Baby Yoda is a Sith Lord. All I ask is that if you agree with any of the points that I make today, to please leave a comment or subscribe. Each interaction helps me go further in the YouTube algorithm, and it will help me make more crazy stories like this. Thank you. His Sith training. This grown-ass man baby plays up the cute and cuddly angle to get people to drop their guard so he can manipulate them. Palpatine tried walking around like an evil ball sack, and that didn't work. So Baby Yoda is going with a different approach. Take a look at most of the NPCs he comes into contact with. They all swoon over how cute and adorable he is, even though this little monster is the next Emperor Palpatine. I mean, think about it. There's been a 30-year gap between Order 66, when all the Jedi were exterminated like the rats that they are, and the start of The Mandalorian. That means that there are 30 years of Grogu's history that we do not know. So I surmise that after fleeing Order 66, Grogu was captured and experimented on by the Empire. And after running tests and seeing how high his M count is, they informed the Emperor right away. It's no secret how disappointed Palpatine was after Anakin Skywalker's embarrassing defeat on Mustafar. Upon seeing the shell of a man Anakin had become after his cybernetic enhancements, Palpatine had a better idea for an apprentice: Grogu. But Grogu was too young, and he stood no chance of killing Darth Vader and taking his rightful title of apprentice yet. So Palpatine secretly trained Grogu in the ways of the Sith. But since he looks like a baby, not everyone was happy running experiments on him. So a scientist with a good heart, not knowing the level of evilness rising in the green, scruffy, nerf herder baby. Well, hey, it's okay. I can say that. I'm black. Well, they decide they can no longer take this. They use their connections to hire a group of mercenaries to rescue a package from the Empire and keep it safe. Upon completion of the job, the mercenaries open the package to see an evil, snarling Grogu who promptly kills multiple mercenaries with the Force. Fearing his power and not knowing he is truly evil, the mercenaries hide away with Baby Grogu, protecting the galaxy from the worst evil they will ever know. Then, The Mandalorian Season 1 happens. That's how the Empire knows about Grogu. That's how they know he's strong in the Force. And that's how they know his age. I further surmise that after the death of Palpatine, secret files were discovered where they learned about this diabolical baby. That's why they want him back. Not for him to reclaim his honor of becoming the one true Sith Lord and the new Emperor, but to be experimented on so they can make their own army. Disgusting. When he was rescued by the Mandalorian, Grogu saw an opportunity. Using the Force, he secretly manipulates the Mandalorian into wanting to protect him. Rewatch the end of Season 1, Episode 1. You see how Mando was hypnotized, I'd say mesmerized even, by this new baby he found? That's the Force working its magic. Being physically weak from malnourishment and the terrible treatment he had been receiving from the mercenaries, this allows the Sith Lord Grogu to recruit the Mandalorian as his brand new protector, which we see when he blows a hole in the head of IG-11. And before you say, if this is true, why did Mando hand him over to the Empire? This was a test to see how strong his hold was on Mando. Remember the movie Revenge of the Sith? In the beginning, Palpatine allows himself to be captured by General Grievous. Palpatine could have destroyed Grievous at any moment, but he decided to go along with him to see how this plays out. Palpatine could have been injured or killed, but he didn't care. He was so enamored by Anakin, it was worth the risk to tempt him to the dark side of the Force. His plan eventually works, as he gets to watch Anakin behead his former Sith apprentice, Count Dooku, thus taking one step closer to becoming his true apprentice. This is what Grogu was doing with Mando. He was testing him to see if he was worthy of escorting him around the galaxy. Sounding mighty Palpatine-ish to me, don't you think? Do you think he took some pointers from the Sith Master? his dark side force powers. To further prove his evilness, we also have the dark side powers he has shown throughout The Mandalorian. For instance, he uses Force Choke on Cara Dune. Ooh, I don't blame him. I'd probably do the same thing too. You know what I mean? But Force Choking is a dark side power not used by the Jedi. Still, that's not really that strong of a case, right? I mean, Jedis can move stuff with their minds. I'm sure they can choke somebody using the Force, right? But think back to Season 1, Episode 7, titled The Reckoning. In this episode, we see Grogu heal Grief Karga from a fatal wound. Wow, sounds like a real good guy, right? Wrong. Let's hold that thought for a moment and look further into this Force healing power. Only 3 characters in Disney's canon have used this ability so far. That is Rey Palpatine, Kylo Ren, and Grogu. Not even Yoda, the greatest of all the Jedi, has used this power before. What could it be about these 3 characters that lets them use this healing ability? Well, I'll tell you, it's the dark side. In The Return of Skywalker, we see Rey, a Jedi hero, use this ability twice. Once on the underground monstrous BBC snake, and once on Kylo Ren. We also see Kylo Ren use this ability to force heal Rey. What? Kylo did it too? But how can this be? After all these years of embracing the dark side, did Kylo Ren suddenly learn how to harness his light side ability? Did he return to his Jedi ways to save Rey? Well, that's what I thought at first. But something kept crawling into my mind. Remember that scene where Palpatine is trying to seduce Anakin Skywalker to the dark side? He tells him,
"Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural."
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
This tells us that Jedi can't prevent death. But let's keep it real, even if they could, they wouldn't, because they welcome it. As a Jedi, death is a natural means to return to the Force. As Obi-Wan once said,
"You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine."
But you know what is unnatural? Cheating death. Few people understand the Force, but in most instances, using a light side power is like working with the Force, and using a dark side power is like bending the Force to your will. Only a Sith would deny someone the glory of returning to the Force. But how can this skill be evil if Rey did it? Then I remembered a previous scene where Rey uses Force Lightning to destroy a ship. Force Lightning is a dark side power which no Jedi has ever used. This means that Rey, thanks to her Palpatine connection, has the ability to use dark side powers. So that means since Rey and Kylo both have access to dark side powers as well as light side powers, but no other Jedi has ever used this ability before, we have to assume it's their shared connection to the dark side, meaning that Grogu has a strong connection to the dark side of the Force as well. Don't forget, in Return of Skywalker, when the Force healing ability was used, the user absorbed the damage they healed into their own body. That's why Kylo Ren died after saving Rey. That means this tiny baby Yoda healed Grief Karga and then absorbed the fatal wound into his little baby body. If he was just a normal green Jedi baby in training, how could he survive this? But don't think Baby Yoda did this to be a hero. He wanted to deny Grief the honor of returning to the Force. He wasn't doing it to save him, he was doing it to punish him in his own dark, twisted way. Which leads me to my next point. This little baby is a psychopath. I know a lot of you still don't believe me, right? This just sounds like things I made up with no proof. Well, why don't we use this little goblin's actions to prove my points? In the video game Knights of the Old Republic, we can get a better glimpse of why Baby Yoda does what he does. While the story is not canon, it gives you an idea of how Jedi and Sith interact with the Force. Being virtuous and willing to help others will bring you closer to the light side, while doing dark, evil actions makes you stronger in the dark side of the Force. One thing he did to his new protector, Mando, was to steal the knob off his ship's cockpit. It doesn't sound like much, right? But that's just the beginning of it. That's him easing into his dark side ways. He didn't need it, he just did it to be a dick.
Don't be a dick! It's never too late to stop being a dick.
but that's nothing compared to what this monster is truly capable of. I mean, I get sick just thinking about it. It is with great regret that I must inform you about The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2. Titled The Passenger, in this episode, Mando is tasked with safely transporting a frog woman and her children to her husband on another planet. This woman wants nothing more than to start a family, and this is her last chance. You see, her kids are still eggs, and she is at the end of her life cycle. If these kids die, her family line will be erased from existence forever. And this is not a secret. She tells Mando this. Unfortunately, while within earshot of Grogu, because he hears this and it makes him hungry. While traveling, Grogu satisfies himself by eating his frog lady's eggs in front of her face. Imagine how close this brings him to the dark side. What is more evil than eating someone's children in front of them and trying to be cute about it? That's not even the worst part. Mando catches him eating the eggs and scolds him for it. But what does Grogu do? Does he apologize? No, this angers him. Why is his underling talking back to him? This would never happen to Emperor Palpatine. Angry and wanting to teach them a lesson, Grogu leads the ship into the cave where they were parked in. This cave is filled with ice spiders and their eggs ready to hatch. So, to establish dominance, he eats an ice spider, thus awakening the hundreds, maybe thousands of other ice spiders in the cave to attack them all and try to kill them. Okay, let's unpack all of this. So Grogu started by eating this lady's kids in front of her, and then when Mando has the audacity to get mad at him for it, he tries to kill them all with a mountain of ice spiders. And you all still think he's the hero? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of part 1. I haven't seen season 3 of The Mandalorian yet, but I will continue to prove the evilness of this baby. Right now, I have 21 subscribers, just 21. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will drop part 2 of why Baby Yoda is a Sith Lord. So far, did I convince you? Are you able to see through this horrible disguise he has and see the evil that truly lies within his little tiny man? He really is the Tyrion of Star Wars. Let me know down below. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you're digging the vibes. And may the force be with you. One love.